Hi everybody, Evan from Dad Technologies. Are you trying to decide whether you want to purchase the iPhone 11 or the Pixel 4? Please continue watching this video and we're going to do a side-by-side comparison of which one is ultimately the best phone. Now, disclaimer, I do not actually own either one of these phones, but what I did do is I've done extensive research on the specifications that the manufacturers have provided for the consumers, and I'm hoping that based off of my research that you'll make a good solid decision of which phone that you actually want to buy. Hit the intro. For the stats of this video, I think we're going to put the iPhone right here, and we're going to put the Pixel 4 right here. And I think what we're going to do is we are going to compare each specifications by what is the greatest. We're going to give it a tally mark, and whoever comes out at the end with the most tally marks will win, and that should be the phone that you should purchase. I think most consumers are always concerned about what size their display is, and I think that based off of the research you can buy a couple of different models of the iPhone 11, but we are in this video discussing just the basic models of the phone and its functionalities. So the display for the iPhone 11 is 6.1 inches, and the display for the Pixel 4 is 5.7 inches. Now, there are a couple of different features to this display size, even though the Pixel 4 has a little bit smaller, but I think for this round, I gotta give it to iPhone 11, because they ultimately do have a larger display. Screen to body ratio, which is a measurement based off of how much screen there actually is on the phone. Now, we just discussed the display size, but how much of that display actually covers the majority of the phone? So iPhone 11, the screen to body ratio is just over 80% at 80.04%, and the Pixel 4 is at 77.32%. So the iPhone actually has more of a display on its phone than the Pixel 4, and it covers a majority, it covers 80% of the phone. Now, it is a close battle, but again, I have to give it to the iPhone 11. The screen refresh rate, which is how the screen is able to comprehend its display. So if you have a smaller frequency, it is going to be able to be a bit blurry, maybe just slightly pixelated. Mostly to the human eye, you're not really going to be able to notice too much, but based off of the specifications, the iPhone 11 sits at 60 Hz, and the Pixel 4 astonishingly sits at 90 Hz, which I think is actually one of the highest in the market right now. So even though that you're rocking that little bit smaller of a display, your display on the Pixel 4 is actually going to be much clearer. So if you do any type of graphic design, or you're into photography, or anything of that realm, you're definitely going to want to get the Pixel 4 when it comes to that argument. So definitely a tally for Pixel 4. Aside from the display size, I think that most people with any phone that they purchase wonder just how good the camera is actually going to be. So camera is always a big conversation with anybody. I remember working for a consumer electronics company, and it was always the question that was always brought up to us was, how's the camera on the phone? They didn't care about how fast the phone was, they didn't care about the brand, they didn't care about anything. As long as that camera was crystal clear, that's all they cared about. So the specifications for the iPhone 11, you're sitting at 12 pixels across the board for that main camera in the back, the secondary cameras that are also on the back of the phone, and then your front camera, which is 12, also 12 megapixels. The Pixel 4 stats are significantly higher. The main camera is 12.2 megapixels, the secondary camera next to the main camera is an astonishing 16 megapixels, but your front camera actually drops a little bit at 8 megapixels. So we're going to give the Pixel 4 2 points out of that round, and we are going to give the iPhone 1 point for the front camera actually being better than what the megapixel camera is capable of handling. The materials of the phone is fairly standard. Both phones actually have an aluminum casing that is around it. I think the difference between the two is the iPhone 11 just has standard glass for its screen, whereas the Pixel 4 has the very sturdy and close to unbreakable glass, the Gorilla Glass, which is what it's referred to as. So I'm going to, again, actually have to give this round to Pixel 4 because I trust that Gorilla Glass to withhold a lot more resistance and damage than that regular glass that the iPhone 11 produces. The chargers for the phone are pretty standard. The iPhone 11 still has its lightning cable, which they have had for many, many years. It is a very sturdy male cable that doesn't really break that often. In fact, I think that the wiring itself breaks before the port actually does, but that's a topic for a whole other different video on this channel. And your Pixel 4 has a USB-C, which is starting to become the standard for everything that's not Apple. So it's not, I think that it's reliable. I haven't had too much experience with it. It is a female style cable, which they just, for some reason, tend to not really be as reliable as a male type cable. So it's your guess. It's depending on how you actually treat the cable of whether it's going to last. But it's, if I had to give the round to anybody, I would probably give it to the iPhone because I've had better experiences with the lightning cable than with any type of micro USB or USB-C, USB-B, any of those USBs. I've had better experiences with the lightning cable from iPhone, so iPhone gets the tally on that round. Without getting into any major conversation in regards to how fast the phone actually is, with talking about its processor, any of its main electronics of what assures that the phone is fast or whether it's slow, I think the only thing that I really wanted to discuss, and I thought about this for quite a while, but I think the really only thing that I want to touch on is the RAM of the phone. I think that based off of what my knowledge is of computers and cell phones, RAM is really what drives it. So if people don't know what RAM stands for, it stands for Random Access Memory, and the RAM is where computers and cell phones, they will put certain memory within that RAM, and it will hold it for an extended period of time before it releases it. So it's not memory like your hard drive, but it is memory that it can able to hold it so your phone can keep processing, and it'll put it back when it needs to. So the iPhone 11 actually only has 4 gigabytes of RAM, and the Pixel 4 has 6 gigabytes of RAM. So based off of just being a higher RAM, I gotta give it to the Pixel 4. Internal storage of the phone, again, this review is based off of just the standard iPhone 11 and the standard Pixel 4. It's not with purchasing any of the increases for the phone, so the standard for both phones is 64 gigabytes of hard drive space, and it's not expandable. So if I was willing to deduct points from both of these phones, I would, because I hate the fact of it not being able to expand the memory of the phone, because I am more willing to buy a phone with less memory, save a little bit of money, and then buy a memory card or SD card that I can put in the phone to increase it. Then that way, if I ever have to switch phones, I can just pull that memory card out, put it into the new phone, and all of my memory is backed up. So 64 gigabytes of RAM for both phones, and both phones you cannot extend the memory capacity of it. So no phone gets a point for this round. The batteries of the phone, I think that iPhone 11 is actually advertising that this is their largest battery yet to be put in any of their phones, and it measures in at 3,110 milliamps an hour, and the Pixel 4 measures in at 2,800 milliamps an hour. So based off of battery specifications, I would again have to give it to the iPhone 11, just because that they do have that bigger battery, and for everything that you're going to be able to put the phone through, the battery is going to last just that little bit longer to be able to get you through the day. On top of the charging cable and how the phone charges, I did just want to touch on this because, at least for me in my personal life, this is a big topic, is wireless charging and whether it's compatible or not. And the answer for both phones is yes, they are both able to be wirelessly charged. I know that from experience when it comes to repairing phones, I would rather do the wireless charging, because every time you're putting that charger physically into your phone, putting it in, pulling it out, you're slowly, each and every time, you're damaging that charging port, and eventually it's going to give. And unless you can afford or figure out someone that can repair the phone for you, you might just end up having to buy a new phone sooner than expected, because you're damaging that port every time you're plugging that cord in. So wireless charging is great. You just put it on the charger, it starts charging, that's it. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about the price of the phone. Now, I feel in this day and age, this is like the least important thing when it comes to purchasing your next cell phone. But the MSRP for the iPhone 11 is $699, and the MSRP for the Pixel 4 is $799. Now again, before you say, well, I went to Verizon and they said it was over $1,000. No, that's not what the MSRP is. We're more so talking about what the manufacturer is recommending the price to be, and that is the starting cost of the phone. So again, this review is more so based off of just the standard items of the phone, not everything that you can purchase as an add-on, which would eventually increase the price. I think, based off of all of my research that I've done on these two phones, I would have to imagine that if I had to choose between these two phones for my next phone purchase, I would probably have to go with the iPhone 11. I think just overall, it's a reputable company, and they have been able to produce certain phones that have been more powerful than their generation actually required. I'm okay with the idea of Google being one of the main sources on a phone, but I think we're slowly going to be fading out the Android software, and it's more so going to start to be Google. I am a huge fan of the Android software. I think that the iOS for Apple is for play, and I think the software for Android is for work. I can do a lot more with Android. I think there are more apps within Google Play that you can actually use and work with on the phone. So, but I think in regards to this review, I definitely have to give it to the iPhone 11. If you've made it this far in the review, you have finally watched my whole review on the iPhone 11 and the Pixel 4. Thank you for watching, and I think both of these phones are ultimately going to be a good choice with either one that you pick, so I don't think you're going to be able to go wrong with any one of the options that you've seen in this video. Please subscribe to my channel. It would mean the world to us if you're able to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. You'll get notifications on any of my other troubleshooting videos or my vlogs here on the Red Mike Vlog. I do a lot of reviews and unboxings and comparisons for cell phones and laptops and any other major consumer electronics, so that way I can help you guys make the right decision on what you want to purchase next. So please subscribe, like the video, comment if you have any recommendations or maybe something that you want to see next within my vlog, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks.